want to say it, but I'm going to say it. It's like almost in spite of Peyton's limitations, it was like what obviously we know Peyton that year. One, I don't believe he was healthy. All right, that's definitely part of the story. But he was a shell of himself at that point. And you could kind of talk yourself into, hey, if we could win a Super Bowl with 18 who is a shell of himself, maybe we could win it with Brock. And if it's not going to be with Brock, we'll see what we have in Trevor Siemian with this Super Bowl roster.
Yeah, and they went 9-7 that year.
Correct.
Missed the playoffs, and ever since then it's kind of been a downward spiral. I mean, the NFL, it really is a year-to-year league. Like I remember, in the middle, probably 10 years ago now with the Legion of Boom. Obviously, they got the job done against the Broncos in Super Bowl 48, but like the Marshawn Lynch situation, they kind of slowly teetered off as well. And that was a defense-first team for the Denver Broncos. I know they had Demaryius Thomas, and they had all these weapons on offense as well, but like the defense led by Von Miller and Aqib Talib and Chris Harris, like that was the heartbeat of that Broncos team. And it felt like, take that year aside, everything after that, the Broncos as an organization lacked an identity. Their identity was discombobulation, had coaches, quarterbacks, this, that, the other. And it feels like you really have, the joke out there, the concepts of a plan, right? But it really does feel like you saw what they did last year with the 10 wins. You saw what Bo Nix did. And Cecil actually made an excellent point, I thought, today on his show with Josh Dover. We didn't really even see Bo Nix last year. We saw Bo Nix with one wide receiver. And we saw Sean Payton kind of, get into the pocketbook there a little bit and drop some plays. I am so excited to see a renewed confidence in Bo Nix. I mean, I think it was during OTAs and the one time he met with the media, coming out and saying, like, this is the first time in 7 or 8 years that I've had the same coach and same coordinator going into a season for consecutive years.
Well, I can promise that whatever year it is for Bo, having that for the first time, it's not a longer streak than the Broncos themselves having it for the first time. Yeah. A decade. AP, think about that. A decade straight of an NFL football operation that not one time over the course of a 10-year period did they return the same coach, quarterback, and general manager.
Which for the Broncos organization, I mean, they're usually pretty consistent. Like maybe they're not
historically.
They're not a Super Bowl contender every year, but they're going to be hovering around 500. That 10-year stretch was very uncharacteristic of the Denver Broncos.
It was unprecedented.
That everyone in this town grew up with.
Yeah,
right?
You would have to go back to the AFL days to find a comp to the 10-year period that we are coming out of now. So as we look forward to this season greatly, let's talk about some green lights, okay? What would represent the 4 biggest green lights in 2025? For me, the first green light is the team staying as healthy as they've been the last 2 years. It's almost uncanny. The health of the Broncos in consecutive years in a sport that is that violent. You talk about green lights, they've already caught them. Now that they're ready to win, they're actually ready to win. If they could catch that green light through one more intersection, it'd be pretty awesome to see what this operation could look like.
Well, and health is wealth, right? And injuries, you can't really forecast them, right? They're going to happen. It's part of the game, especially in the violent game that is football, specifically at the NFL level. But, I mean, that's the biggest thing. We've seen injuries derail some teams, not named the Broncos in years past, where on paper they've got this, they've got that, but then they get hurt along the way, a quarterback misses some time, and it just completely throws the season off the rails. So I think it starts there for sure. I'm in complete agreement with you. Green light number 1. If the Broncos are healthy on paper, this is a team that's going to win 11, 12, maybe 13 games.
It's possible.
And try to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West.
It doesn't sound crazy, but that's sort of where it starts. That's the bottom of the pyramid for me that most everything else is predicated on, the health of the football team. It's been great. We'll see if that continues. And then, in my opinion, the second green light starts with solving the biggest glaring need for the Broncos year over year, and that's the run game. If they can get a run game going with either J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, or dare I say both, okay, this entire operation is going to become diversified offensively. I'm talking about multiple, and it's almost a miracle what they did a year ago without a run game or a slot receiver or a tight end to have the most successful offense around here since 2014. That's what they did last year without that stuff. Could you imagine a run game with what they already have?
And I'd take it a step further. I agree with you about the run game, but establishing the run game, and really you can only go up from where the Broncos were at last year.
Totally.
We're being completely honest with ourselves.
Totally.
But that is going to open up the playbook for Sean Payton.
Of course.
Mix in different run plays, 3 levels of the football field with the passing dynamic as well. So what it is, the run game is the key to opening up the mind of Sean Payton's offensive scheme. Cecil was talking about this earlier on his show as well. What was Sean Payton's signature run play for my Madden heads out there in New Orleans? Loves that running back counter. You're hitting Y on the Xbox controller, triangle on the PlayStation controller, right? Running back counter. And they didn't have the personnel to run that a lot last year. They really didn't run it at all. And so now, you feel good about R.J. Harvey. You like the dynamic between him and J.K. Dobbins. We'll see who running back 3 is. But with those two different styles of running backs with an offensive line that is already pretty darn good, you've got the weapons on the outside now, banking on the Pat Bryants and the Devon Vale's of the world to step up alongside Cortland Sutton. And I know you'll get to your third green light here, but that's going to feed in
totally
to the growth and progression of Bo Nix in year 2.
Yeah, gosh, and just the efficiency. The efficiency should go way up. And Bo was already pretty darn efficient as a rookie anyway.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. Another green light is inherently Bo taking that jump in year 2. And I don't even think he's going to have some sort of great leap when things get better around him. If he is a similar version of himself, and yes, the confidence will grow, the acumen, the time on task, everything will be more so. But if he's just the same version of himself as he was in the second half of last season, with a better run game, with a tight end presence, with the same offensive line, I think this jump, it's not, you think of like a triple jump where you're sprinting into it, and hop,
right,
and another big hop. It's not going to be that sort of ground that needs to be covered if everything around him is rising.
And I'm not trying to compare Bo to this player necessarily, but you know what it feels like when you kind of talk about making the jump and things around you? In my mind, it feels a little bit like when the Rams got Matthew Stafford, right? Because when they had Jared Goff, obviously they went to a Super Bowl. But when you got Matthew Stafford, it just felt like everything got unlocked with that team, right? Cooper Kupp becomes this otherworldly receiver. You had Puka Nacua along the way. You got Aaron Donald as an anchor on defense. I mean, look, the Rams were a good team with Jared Goff. I still think the Rams should be a top 5 Super Bowl contender this year to come out of the NFC.
Yeah,
they're an incredible team.
They were just a couple plays away.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're looking at Sean Payton. You've obviously got that with Sean McVay, Sean and Sean. And you saw what happened when Sean McVay got a quarterback that could translate what he was trying to dish out. And it feels like you've got that now with Bo Nix.
Yes. And unless, and I've addressed this before, but I don't understand the mindset of some folks who assume failure for Bo. And I see them on the RamosLaw.com text line that it was some sort of aberration. The drop off, the sophomore slump is going to happen. I just don't understand that mindset when someone is obsessed with getting better, starts already really good in his rookie year. Why would the assumption be made that it would get worse, especially if everything else around him is getting better? It doesn't. That does not compute with me, and the mindset I don't understand.
Well, I'll shoot down the middle here. I think Bo Nix is going to be better. Am I completely banging the Bo Nix year 2 is going to be Jaden Daniels last year? I'm not there myself. I think Bo Nix is going to be better. Would it surprise me if he's the same? If not, I don't think he'll take a step back, but if he's relatively the same, no, that wouldn't shock me either.
No,
it wouldn't.
And statistically, it could look similar, if not the same, and he be a more improved, sharper version of himself, especially to start the year.
Right. And I mean, here's the thing, you saw C.J. Stroud is the big talking point that people love to, bring up in the modern sense now of Stroud wasn't as good in year 2 as he was in his rookie season. Still pretty darn good.
Pretty good.
The Texans were still a pretty good football team.
Pretty good.
And to your point, the talent that Denver has added around Bo Nix, and I am just putting, take the talent aside, I put so much stock into the Bo Nix, Sean Payton dynamic.
Sure.
And everything you talked about with the mentality and the drive to be better, that yes, in theory, the stars are aligning for Bo Nix to be much improved in year 2.
No doubt.
Not set in stone, though, is I guess where I'm at.
Yeah. You still have to go out there and do it.
Yes.
You still have to
Injuries,
go do it. Yes.
A lot of things can happen.
Yes.
An offensive lineman goes down for 4 or 5 weeks. What does that do?
And by the way, you mentioned injury. Bo was playing last season with some fractured bones in his back.
Yeah.
Crazy.